Hey guys, BB here. Please give me a like and subscribe this video down below. This content is for beginner pianists who can't really afford lessons, so I've created videos like these to help you guys out. If you like my content a lot, go ahead and join my Discord server. I really love to have you. We want you to join and ask questions, and I can make videos on your questions, and we can just have a fun, interactive community, and that's what I hope to do for these videos for my channel. If you are new to piano and music theory, I suggest you go ahead and use the Discord link below and join my channel and ask questions. If you comment down below, preferably if you were to join a Discord server, so I can have the fast amount of personable contact with you in the private chat. So I can explain a lot of complicated stuff and host a couple of video lessons over Discord, and that's what I was hoping to do. And if you really want to support me and my channel, there are some links to send me financial resources so I can keep these videos up and going. So let's get right into it. Alright, so we got our first question from Sarah, and he says, why do we say something is in a minor key when it has the same enharmonic keys as a major? And of course, this is going to confuse a lot of people if you don't know what minor and major keys are, but I'll try to simplify it for you. In music, there are a lot of different modes. And what are modes? Modes are basically the types of scales that we play in music to evoke a certain kind of feeling. There are jazzy modes, there are sad modes, which is minor feeling modes, major modes that feel a little bit more happy and upbeat. A lot of different type of ways to play the piano. A lot of different scales and alterations to sort of change the tone. And what he means by enharmonic equivalent is enharmonics are basically notes that are spelt differently, but they sound the same. For example, I'm hitting this note right here. That was a C. If you have a good ear, that's a C, but it's also known as a B sharp. It could be called a B sharp or a C. I'll give you another example. This note right here. That was an F sharp. An F sharp, or you can call that a G flat. They're both sound the same, but they're spelt very differently, and I'm gonna get to that reason why. In music, you have major keys and you have minor keys. Major usually invokes a happy feeling, and minor usually invokes a sad feeling. Music is a language of expression. Think of it like the English language. There are letters, letters make words, and words make paragraphs. That is the same with music. There is an objective order that we use to view and analyze music. That usually comes in the form of scales and counterpoint and very complex music theory, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Every song that's played is played in a certain mode or scale. You can call it a scale, you can call it a musical language. That's how I find it a little bit more memorable. Calling scales, what language is it in? What scale is it in? What key signature? That's what we want to know. All songs have a mode, have a language, have a scale. So you should memorize that. Changing the scale by transposing it is just like it's like using the same words but expressing it differently in a different language. So for example, if I were to have a melody in, let's say, C major, and then if I were to transpose that, I expressed the same message but differently. It sounded very different, and that's because I transposed from C major to F major. And that's where and here's where we get into the more the spicy stuff right here. You can transpose things like melodies and songs and amazing musical works. Now you're probably asking, how did I know how to do that? Well, this is where we're going to introduce a form of method called scale degrees. And what scale degrees are, they are a numerical formula of looking at each key. So each key has 7 notes. All the keys have 7 notes for the major and minor. And when you're looking at these 7 notes, they're giving a certain notation. For example, if we're looking at C major, C is the tonic, which would be 1. D would be the supertonic, would be 2. 3, the third one would be the mediant, and that would be E. The fourth would be F. The fifth would be G. The sixth would be A, and the seventh would be B. And something you should know about scale degrees is it helps with building, diatonic triads. For example, the 1 is always going to be a major chord. The 4 is always going to be a major chord. The 5 is always going to be a major chord. That's pretty simplified. The 2 is always going to be a minor chord. The 3 is always going to be a minor chord. The 6 is always going to be a minor chord. And the 7th is always going to be a diminished chord. And that's very useful for understanding, how to transpose content, because you can actually take the same numerical formula and use this in different keys. And this is where you need to understand your scales. If you do not understand your scales, comment down below and I'll make a video on that. But you need to know, how to make a C major scale, a G major scale, a D major, all 12 scales. You need to know how to make those scales. And basically, once you have those numbers down, you basically just transpose the keys that you're pressing, those numbers, onto the next key. For example, if I am in G major and I want to make a simple melody, and let's say I want to transpose that to A major, okay? So in G major, I was tapping G, B, and D, so that would be a 1, 3, and a 5. And in A major, I was doing the same thing, the 1, the 3, and the 5. It works like magic, just like that. Now, specifically to Sarah's question, when we were talking about C major has a relative key. Relative keys are basically keys that are the same key, but they are different, such as a major and minor key. For example, the relative key of C major is A minor. They are in the same key. However, the only thing that's different is dun 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 the tonic. For example, the tonic, the 1 in C major starts on C. However, in A minor, the 1 starts on starts on A. And before we get to this a little bit further, let me go ahead and explain the minor key. The minor key is basically the same thing as the major key. However, we start off with the 1, and the 1 is always minor in the minor key. The 2 is always diminished in the minor key. The 3 is always major in the minor key. The 5 is always minor in the minor key. The 6 is always major, and the 7th is always major. So it's kind of like a reverse of the major key and the minor key. And essentially, when you are looking at the major and the minor, although they sound the same, they're spelt differently. And I would probably arguably, the major and minor modes sound very, very different relative to one another, mainly because of the focal points. So what I mean by focal points, I mean the points of emphasis. For example, if a song is in C major, you're going to start seeing chords that are related to C major. So you're going to mainly see, I can guarantee you will definitely see a C major chord in C major. I guarantee you will also see a G chord in C major, because G is synonymous with C. If you know anything about overtones, we'll get to that later. And also G, the 5 always resolves well with the 1. So if you're trying to find a cadence, or you're trying to end the song, it works in any key you want. So if you don't know how to end a song, do 5/1. 5/1. That's just normal. We call that a perfect cadence, a perfect ending. Okay. And specifically with the A and the C, Cyril said, okay, well, why do we use a minor key if it's the same harmonic equivalent as the major key? Well, major and minor modes sound very differently, which is why we use that sort of spelling. For example, if we are using a song that's in C major, and let's do like a simple melody. Okay, now let's transpose that song into a minor key. Same key, but the focal point is different, therefore the sound is different. I hope that helps you out, Sarah, and your musical journey. But that is why we use Enharmonics. Mainly, I just want to put an emphasis on that the keys sound very different depending on the major and minor modes. They're two completely different keys. Although with Enharmonics, these are keys that are these are notes that sound the same but are spelled differently. But the keys sound different. The keys sound very different. For example, C major, A minor. Got it. All right. So I hope that helps. If you like my content, if you give this video a like and subscribe. If you really like my content, go ahead and give me a cash donation, because I would love to keep these videos going. I think that would help me out a lot in helping you guys. But these are free lessons. I'm doing this for the community because I grew up not really having any lessons. I had to teach myself. I never had a speck of formal musical lessons, and I had to read books and teach myself how to do it. And it was tough, and I wanted to give up a lot of the time, but I had a dream and I wanted to pursue it, and that's why I'm here. And I want to give back my dream and share that dream with people like you. I want you guys to dream on and stay motivated, because with music, nothing is really impossible. I want you to stay motivated and create things that are just extraordinary, and just never give up. All right, now guys, make sure you join the server. BB out.